Today's story has a Dutch clock that really annoyed the Denpasar locals, a monumental sculpture attributed to Lempad, and a disturbed tourist who tried to vandalise it 5 decades after it was made. And to top matters off, a curious claim that the work was not by Lempad at all. My name is Vivian, and you're watching Art, Ritual and Myth. At the heart of Bali's capital, Denpasar, the Catur Muka fountain is arguably the #1 selfie spot for Balinese families. It's at a crossroads opposite the mayor's office on one corner and a popular family picnic park on another corner. Early in 1999, Indonesia and the world saw footage of what appeared to be a mentally disturbed tourist woman who'd vandalised this much-loved monument. The monument was attributed to Lempad. While it drew national attention to the need to keep the Catur Muka fountain in good repair, it saw one person contact me to dispute that it had been made by Lempad at all. Before we examine this claim, let's have a look at why the work was commissioned. It stands in the middle of a roundabout in Denpasar's city centre, which had been the site of this clock and bell, which the Balinese saw as a reminder of the hated Dutch colonialism. I don't claim to fully understand this, but perhaps it was a reminder of Dutch people rudely telling the Balinese to hurry up and perhaps neglect their family and religious duties. In any case, unpleasant memories. The clock has now been uprooted and replanted at the edge of the roundabout, where you can still see it. Meanwhile, although the Catur Muka statue depicts the four-faced Brahma, the Hindu creator god, it is a civic monument. It was a government commission. I'd say it was there to replace the hurry up and do what we say Dutch message with an assertion of Balinese Hinduism, a spiritual anchor at the physical crossroads. It was made in 1972, 4 years before Lempad died, which would have made him 112 at the time he was supposed to have made the sculpture, and very frail, so he would have had to employ a team of helpers. In 2019, I was about to publish my guide, Lempad's Art and Architecture in Bali, when Dekatal Sugiarto contacted me via social media and told me I had it all wrong. According to him, the artist was Iwayan Limbat. I was not able to get to Bali to investigate immediately, and a few months later, the COVID-19 restrictions came into place, the lockdowns, and it made it impossible for me to visit Bali for a long time. In the meantime, Mr. Sugiarto sent me some shots of a booklet published by the Regency of Badung, which included Denpasar at the time. It was the front cover and also one of the elevations with handwritten notes and measurements. I'd love to get my hands on the other pages. No mention of Lempad there, but first we should listen to Lempad's grandnephew and grandson, who are both familiar with Lempad's style, explain why they believe the Catur Muka to be the work of Igustinyoman Lempad.
Lempad also built a big statue in Denpasar. He followed that statue because Mr. Governor want to have a big statue in the middle of city in Denpasar, and Lempad make Catur Muka in Denpasar.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is a relative I haven't been able to contact. He said, no, Lempad didn't make that statue. That was his uncle or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No problem for me.
Yeah.
I read on the autobiography Lempad. That is read in autobiography Lempad because that statue made from Lempad. And introduced by Governor Ida Bagus Mantra. Yeah. Ida Bagus Mantra is the governor need is a culture, and culture very strong in Bali. How I put in the corner of the street of Denpasar.
Okay.
Then Lempad have a idea, have a Catur Muka because 4 street,
Yeah.
A little bit statue that they hope have a power to organize the people, not crowded. It's very healthy and happy. I know the style of the Lempad, very, very nice. Between the anatomy and also the character of the face and then the power of the body. I know very, very nice of the anatomy of the Lempad.
So a key member of Lempad's family tells us he knows the Catur Muka was Lempad's work because he'd read about it in an autobiography, which I've been unable to locate, and because as an Undagi, he's very familiar with Lempad's style. He also tells me that the Bali governor, Ida Bagus Mantra, asked Lempad how he could introduce an effective element of Balinese culture into those crossroads. In 1978, when Lempad died, a film about his life and work came out, followed by 3 significant books in 1982. One of them was an official Indonesian government publication. None of them mentioned this important public commission, even though the monument was just 10 years old at the time, as Lempad had just died 4 years earlier at the age of 116. Yes, 116. It would have been his last important commission, that being the case. His name doesn't seem to appear in any written material about the sculpture, the monument, until it's several decades old. When I did a quick Google search in 2019, the material that did mention Lempad in connection with the statue was touristy stuff, also asserted that the statue was made of granite. It's made of paras, the concreted grey volcanic ash that's the favoured building material throughout the island, and so soft that the sculptors use the same tools to carve paras that they use for wood. The English word for the stone, which we Australians tend not to know, is tuff, Tuff. A disturbed foreign tourist in 2019 broke several of the lotus petals on the fountain during what appeared to be a psychotic episode, before police took her to a psychiatric facility. A woman without any tools, apart from her motorbike helmet, would be unable to cause such damage or any damage to a granite statue. Meanwhile, several people have also told me they know Lempad created the statue because they'd read about it. However, just last year, a well-researched online tour guide to central Denpasar came out. According to this WordPress site put out by the Denpasar Tourism Office, the creation of the statue was a collaborative effort involving Iwayan Limbak, a temple priest, Pemacek, from Samoan Tiga, who received support from architects Undagi, Igusti Aji Marangan, Igusti Ngura Chanbe, and Inyoman Suka. Unfortunately, it also repeats the claim that the statue is made of granite. Lempad's own grandson and grandnephew, who are both Undagis, tell me it is indeed paras. So, semi-official tourism literature is now telling us the work is indeed by Iwayan Limbak and a team of architects or sculptors. An Undagi can be an architect or a sculptor, or both in Balinese. Mr. Limbak is described as a temple priest, Pemacek, from Samoan Tiga. This is a very important temple at Bedulu, the town where Lempad was born, and also the temple where his daughter left offerings for him the day before he died. I'm guessing, in the meantime, that this is the same Wayan Limbak who was the renowned dancer and cultural figure who collaborated with the German artist and musician Walter Spies to create the Kecak dance, which was first performed in Bedulu a century ago. Meanwhile, the other articles attributing the work of the fountain to Igusti Nyoman Lempad seem to have disappeared from the internet. So, if the work had nothing to do with Lempad, how could such a mistake have arisen? In traditional Balinese culture, artists were not famous in the same way that bricklayers and carpenters are not famous in my culture, and even an architect struggles to become well known. However, in the 1990s or 2000s, if an Indonesian were able to name just one Balinese artist, he'd probably say Lempad, as Lempad had a significant public profile. And the Catur Muka fountain is a noisy place. If one stranger asked another which artist had created it, the name Limbak might easily be misheard as Lempad, above the din of the traffic. Yet the two Ndagis, who were members of Lempad's family, seem firmly convinced that Lempad was the artist commissioned by Governor Ida Bagus Mantra. Let's examine this. Professor Mantra was yet to take up his post as governor of Bali when the statue appeared in Denpasar. At the time, he was serving a 10-year term for the national government as Director General of Culture of the Department of Education and Culture, which would surely have put him in a position to recommend this project. According to Wikipedia, during this time he was responsible for development, renovation of temples and building cultural activity centres such as the construction of the Denpasar Cultural Park, the construction of cultural centres in several districts, also exploring, enriching arts and culture that are almost extinct or still developing in society, and encouraging the construction and rehabilitation of museums and antiquities. So he was certainly in a position to consult Lempad and take up his suggestion of a Catur Muka fountain to occupy that city centre. That being the case, could it be that Lempad's recommendation was enough to attach his name to the work, even though the Regency government funded it? As for actually building the Catur Muka, Lempad would have been 112 that year. He'd taken on a commission the year before, a carved terracotta-style decoration for a wall, which he collaborated closely with his grandson, I Gusti Nyoman Sudara. However, this would have been 2 decades since he'd taken on his last big building commissions, the Saraswati Temple in Ubud and the village temple in Bedulu, both of which he designed, project managed, and also created many of the carvings himself. So I'm wondering if Lempad's involvement in the work was all or mostly at its conception, as Lempad's idea, which received the minister's blessing, attracted funds from the Regency government and which then commissioned others to realise it. If this were the case, could it be that Lempad himself was not keen to claim credit for the work, even though it may have been thought of as Lempad's statue, perhaps because he was not involved at the project stage? I have no reason to doubt that any of my informants are speaking anything other than the truth, as they understand it. But with the passage of time, does this seem to be a plausible explanation for such a strange anomaly? Meanwhile, the vandalism of a work attributed to Lempad, the cherished artist, did draw public attention to the need to maintain the ageing monument, leading to an extensive restoration program which is now complete. And the Catur Muka remains the #1 selfie spot for Balinese families every weekend. I'm tempted to find out a bit more about Wayang Limbat on my next trip to Bali and the origins of the Kecak dance, which you can see in my earlier video. I'll post a link. Please let me know in the comments if there's anything you'd like me to investigate further. If likewise you're convinced that Lempad really was the artist or wasn't the artist, please let me know if you have any more evidence that I've overlooked. I'd love to see it. Meanwhile, my name is Vivian, and thank you for watching Art, Ritual and Myth.